Imagine if everything you thought you knew about sex was only half the story. What if the real reasons things feel different now, less connection, less drive, more frustration, had nothing to do with age, and everything to do with what no one ever told you? And today, we're going to talk about something most guys don't really bring up out loud, but deep down they've always wondered about. These are 5 real, eye-opening secrets about sex that many older men wish they had known earlier in life. Not random tips, real things that can make a huge difference in how you feel, how you connect with your partner, and how you move through this stage of life. And the best part? You're not too late. 1. Spontaneity isn't the goal anymore. Intention is. When you were younger, sex probably felt easy. It just happened. You didn't have to think about it, plan for it, or even talk about it much. That kind of spontaneity felt exciting. You could go from a hug to full-on passion in minutes, and honestly, there was a sense of pride in that. It made you feel strong, alive, confident. But as the years go by and your body starts to change, expecting that same kind of instant intimacy can actually do more harm than good. After 60, things don't work the same way, and pretending they do only sets you up for disappointment, and sometimes even danger. The truth is, spontaneity isn't the goal anymore. Intention is. Intimacy, at this stage of life, isn't about chasing the past. It's about showing up for the present with care, with honesty, and with preparation. I remember one man who shared a story that stuck with me. He was 69, newly dating after being single for a long time. He liked this woman. They had chemistry. One night after a nice dinner, they ended up back at his place. He hadn't thought much about what would happen next. He just assumed things would go the way they used to. But when the moment came, his body didn't respond. He panicked. He didn't know what to say. He made a quick excuse, drove her home, and never called her again. Later he told me, "I felt like I lost my manhood that night." And honestly, that broke my heart. Not because of the physical part, but because of the emotional hit he took. That kind of pain doesn't just ruin a night. It can make a man question his worth, his identity, even his future. But here's the thing, he didn't fail. He just didn't have the information or the tools he needed to make it work differently. That's why I always tell men, intimacy after 60 is not about performance on demand. It's about preparation, communication, and awareness. It means checking in with your body instead of ignoring it. It means creating the right setting, lowering stress, making sure your medications aren't getting in the way, and taking time to build emotional connection, not just physical. It also means supporting your blood flow with healthy habits like walking daily, staying hydrated, limiting alcohol, and not skipping medications. Some guys think that planning for sex takes the romance out of it, but honestly, it's the opposite. When you prepare, you're showing your partner you care. You're being thoughtful. You're saying, "This matters to me and I want it to go well." That's not unsexy, that's real intimacy. And here's something people don't talk about enough. Skipping the prep can actually be dangerous. I've seen men mix enhancement pills with blood pressure medication and end up in the emergency room. I've seen men skip their heart meds because they're afraid it'll affect performance, only to suffer a heart attack because they pushed their bodies too far. Intimacy should feel good, not scary. That's why respecting your body is key, not just for better sex, but for staying safe. You're not 25 anymore, and that's okay. You've got wisdom now, experience, and a deeper understanding of what connection really means. Let go of the myth that everything should happen on impulse. You're not weaker for needing a little preparation. You're smarter. You're protecting yourself. You're showing up with intention. So if you've been holding on to the idea that great sex only happens when it's spontaneous, it's time to let that go. That idea belongs to a younger version of you, a version who didn't have the knowledge or the self-awareness you have now. These days, real confidence comes from being honest about where you are, what your body needs, and how you want to show up for the people you care about. There's nothing more attractive than that kind of presence. When you choose intention over impulse, you give yourself permission to feel again. to connect again, and to thrive again. And that, more than anything, is what will bring back the spark you might have thought was gone. 2. Sex is emotional medicine. As we grow older, sex isn't just about the physical act. It's about something deeper, something essential. Intimacy after 60 isn't just physical, it's emotional medicine. When you touch, when you connect, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or even through self-care, your body releases powerful chemicals. Oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. These are the feel-good chemicals that reduce stress, improve your sleep, boost your immune system, and even lower your risk of heart disease. These aren't just perks. They're real, scientifically backed health benefits that we can't afford to ignore, especially as we age. I've worked with a lot of men who, after hitting their 60s, began to feel disconnected from intimacy. One man I'll never forget is Martin. He was a 74-year-old widower who felt completely numb after losing his wife. He thought that intimacy, physical closeness, was no longer for him. He convinced himself that his best days were behind him and that there was no place for sex or affection in his life anymore. But what Martin didn't realize was that it wasn't sex he was missing. It was connection. His isolation led to depression, sleepless nights, and his blood pressure started creeping up. The loneliness wasn't just an emotional issue, it was starting to show in his physical health too. It's common for men, especially as they age, to convince themselves that showing vulnerability or admitting a need for closeness is a weakness. So they shut down, avoid touch, and keep their emotions bottled up. They think it's easier to remain distant and quiet. But the problem is, this silence doesn't protect them. It hurts them. When men shut off from others, they increase their risk of depression, they raise their cortisol levels, and they even accelerate early cognitive decline. The act of shutting out intimacy isn't protecting you, it's isolating you. And that can have serious long-term consequences. This is why emotional intimacy, whether through a partner, a close friend, or even self-acceptance, is just as important as physical health. If you've lost interest in connection, or if you've convinced yourself that it doesn't matter anymore, I need to tell you something. You might be slipping into emotional starvation. And it's not too late to change that. It may feel awkward or uncomfortable at first, but one small courageous step, whether that's starting an open conversation with a friend or partner, or even allowing yourself to feel your emotions, can bring vitality and energy back into your life. The most meaningful forms of intimacy often come later in life, when the masks fall away, and we're no longer hiding behind the expectations we once had. There's beauty in that vulnerability. When you let yourself feel, when you allow yourself to connect in a real and honest way, that's when the most rewarding experiences of intimacy can take place. It's not just about the physical touch. It's about being open, being present, and being emotionally available to those around you. This kind of intimacy can make a huge difference in your mental and physical health, and it's something that can be cultivated at any age. Don't deny yourself the healing power of human connection. It's never too late to start. If you're finding this helpful so far, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this. And if you have any questions or something on your mind, just leave a comment below. I read every single one. Let's talk about it. 3. Your erection is a window to your heart. Let's talk about something most men avoid: erections. Not the jokes, not the offhand comments. We're talking about real changes you might be noticing in your body. If you're over 60 and you've been having trouble getting or keeping an erection, don't brush it off. Don't just think, well, this is what happens when you get older. Because here's the truth. Your erection is one of the clearest windows into your heart health. It's not just about sex, it's about blood flow. And if that blood isn't flowing well enough down there, it might not be flowing well enough anywhere. C. An erection is a cardiovascular event. That means your heart, arteries, and blood vessels all have to be working smoothly to make it happen. So when things start to feel off in the bedroom, it could be your body's first warning sign that something deeper is going on, something you can't see or feel yet, like clogged arteries or high blood pressure. I remember this guy, David. He was 67, funny, full of life, and not the type to take anything too seriously. He came in one day and told me, "Things aren't working quite like they used to," and gave a half smile, like it wasn't a big deal. He thought it was just part of getting older, maybe stress, maybe a little tiredness, but something didn't sit right with me. I ordered a full cardiac checkup. 3 weeks later, David was in surgery for a 90% blockage in one of his major arteries. That's not minor. That's life or deathy stuff. Afterward, he said something that stuck with me. "I thought I had a sex problem, but I had a time bomb in my chest." What happened to David isn't rare. In fact, it happens all the time. The arteries in the penis are smaller than the ones in your heart, so they're often the first to show signs of trouble. If they're getting blocked, you're probably not far behind from something more serious happening in your heart, brain, or other organs. Erectile dysfunction can be an early sign of heart disease, diabetes, or even hormone issues, and if you ignore it, you're not just risking your sex life, you're risking your life, period. But the danger isn't only physical. Let's talk about the emotional cost, because that part is real too. When a man starts feeling like he's failing in the bedroom, he often starts to shrink away. He pulls back from his partner. He avoids situations where intimacy might come up. He stops talking about it. And slowly, his confidence breaks down. He starts to think his best years are gone, that he's no longer desirable, no longer strong, no longer himself. And that feeling can eat away at your sense of identity and self-worth. But here's the part nobody tells you enough. You have power here. You're not stuck. You're not broken. If you treat ED as a signal instead of something to be ashamed of, you can actually catch bigger problems early and maybe even turn everything around. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen men in their 60s and 70s walk into a doctor's office feeling defeated and walk out with a game plan that changed everything. It's not about chasing youth. It's about protecting your life, your health, and your joy. Some of the same guys who came to me years ago feeling embarrassed or hopeless are now telling me they feel like they're 45 again. Not because they found a magic pill, not because they faked it, but because they acted when their body gave them a warning. They got checked. They changed their lifestyle. They took their health seriously. And it made all the difference. So if you're noticing changes, talk to someone. Don't wait until it becomes something worse. Your body's trying to tell you something. Listen to it. Because sometimes the thing you think is a small problem is actually a gift, a chance to catch something before it becomes a crisis. And trust me, that kind of awareness could save more than your sex life. 4. The most dangerous time is when you feel invincible. One of the most dangerous moments for older men isn't when they feel weak or tired. It's when they feel strong. When they feel full of energy and confidence. When something inside them says, "I've still got it." That feeling might come after a good checkup, a compliment from someone younger, or the excitement of a new relationship. And in those moments, it's tempting to act like nothing has changed, to push your body hard, to prove to yourself or someone else that you're still in your prime. But here's the truth, that mindset is exactly what puts you most at risk. I remember a man named Leonard. He was 74, full of charm, sharp as ever, and recently started dating a woman much younger than him. He would laugh and say, "I've got to keep up." But behind those jokes, I could see what was really happening. He was pushing himself too hard, too fast. I warned him during a visit that his heart wasn't as strong as it used to be. I told him to slow down, take precautions, make sure he was safe, but he didn't want to hear it. 2 weeks later, Leonard collapsed from a heart attack during sex. He didn't die because he wasn't healthy. He died because he didn't respect his limits. It's painful to talk about, but it's something I've seen more than once. Sometimes the people left behind are the ones who share the story. I've talked to widows, strong women, who've sat in my office with tears in their eyes, saying it wasn't supposed to happen that way, and it wasn't. The saddest part is, Many of these deaths were preventable. The mistake wasn't being intimate. It wasn't about desire or love. It was about ego, about trying to prove something instead of listening to the body's warning signs. Here's what many people don't realize. Sex after 60 isn't just an emotional experience, it's a physical one. And a demanding one at that. Your heart rate rises, your blood vessels expand, your breathing changes. It's not that different from a workout at the gym. If you were planning to run 5 miles, you'd stretch, warm up, make sure your body was ready. But when it comes to sex, most people skip those steps. They expect their body to perform the same way it did 30 years ago, and that can be dangerous. The reality is, slowing down isn't weakness. In fact, it's the smartest, strongest thing you can do. Taking your time, preparing your body, checking in with your doctor. These are signs of strength, not fear. There's no trophy for rushing into something your body isn't ready for. There's no medal for ignoring your health. What matters most is staying alive so you can continue to love, connect, and enjoy your life. Letting go of the idea that you have something to prove is freeing. You don't need to impress anyone, not at this stage of life. What your partner wants isn't performance. They want presence. They want connection. They want to feel close to you. And that comes from being aware, being careful, and being honest with yourself. Your health isn't an obstacle. It's the key to deeper, longer-lasting intimacy. So, if you ever feel that spark of boldness, that voice in your head saying, "Show them you've still got it," pause for a second. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this about love or is it about ego? Because one leads to connection, joy, and safety. The other could lead to a moment you can't take back. Being wise with your body now means you'll still be here, laughing, holding hands, and making memories for years to come. Choose that. Choose life over pride. Choose connection over control. It's not about slowing down. It's about staying in the moment and protecting what really matters. 5. Porn is rewiring your brain and confidence. Let's talk about something a lot of men don't like to admit, especially as they get older. It's not easy to talk about, but it's real, and it matters more than you might think. I'm talking about pornography. For many older men, porn starts as something harmless. It feels like a quiet escape when connection gets harder or the body doesn't work the way it used to. But over time, it becomes something more than a habit. It starts to change you. Slowly, silently, it rewires the way your brain responds to pleasure, connection, and even love itself. When you're young, your body can bounce back quickly. You might not notice the damage. But as you age, everything becomes more sensitive, including your brain. I met Walter, a 71-year-old man who hadn't touched his wife in over 4 years. He didn't mean to pull away, but as his body changed and sex became more challenging, he turned to porn for comfort. It was easier, quicker, and didn't ask anything of him. At first, it gave him relief, but over time, it took much more than it gave. Walter started to compare his wife's body to the women he saw online. Women edited for perfection, with endless energy and no emotional needs. The real pace of intimacy, the natural rhythm of aging love, began to feel boring to him. He became frustrated, cold, and distant. His wife noticed. She stopped trying to reach for him. Their home grew quiet. Their bed, even quieter. When he finally came to see me, he wasn't just dealing with physical issues, he was lost in shame, confusion, and regret. And he's not alone. Porn doesn't show real life. It doesn't show the effort, the vulnerability, the laughter, or the moments of clumsiness that actually make sex meaningful. It creates a fantasy world where everything is always perfect, and that fantasy becomes addictive. The brain starts to crave more intensity, more novelty, more stimulation. And that craving can actually dull your ability to respond to a real person. You may find it harder to become aroused or stay aroused with someone you love. You may feel disconnected, anxious, or even resentful. Some men end up avoiding intimacy altogether, not because they don't want it, but because they no longer know how to feel close without a screen in front of them. This isn't just about sex, it's about confidence. The more you rely on porn, the more your brain expects something it will never get from real life. Over time, you may start to feel like something's wrong with you. Why don't I feel excited with my partner? Why do I feel numb? That's not weakness, it's biology. Your brain has been trained to react to the unnatural. But here's the good news. It can be untrained too. Letting go of porn isn't about shame, it's about freedom. It's about giving your mind and body the chance to feel again. Real touch, real connection, real love. With all its messiness and beauty. I've seen men in their 70s and 80s take that step, sometimes with the help of a therapist or support group. It's not always easy, but the result is worth it. They rediscover what it feels like to be fully present, with themselves and with the people who care about them. You don't need porn to feel alive. What you need is real closeness, even if it's slower, quieter, or different than it used to be. You need honesty with yourself and with your partner. You need patience. And most of all, you need to believe that connection is still possible, even now. If you've been using porn as a substitute for intimacy, you're not broken. You're human. But you deserve more than a fantasy. You deserve warmth, eye contact, a hand reaching for yours. You deserve to feel like you're enough, just as you are. And that begins the moment you choose real connection over illusion. These 5 sex secrets aren't just tips, they're truths that can change how you age. You've learned that intimacy now needs intention, that your erection reflects heart health, that connection heals emotionally, that porn creates disconnection, and that pushing too hard can be dangerous. Aging isn't failure, it's growth. If you feel ashamed or alone, know this. Your body isn't broken. It's changing. And that's okay. Talk to your partner or doctor. You still matter. Your heart, your presence, your love life. If you're finding this helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on more simple, honest health tips. And if you have any questions or something you've been struggling with, leave a comment below. I read every one. Let's talk about it together. Thank you for watching our video today. If you found this video helpful, please drop a like and subscribe button to support us. We truly appreciate you support, and it will motivate us to continue make more information video to help you all. Thank you, and goodbye.